You got an appointment? Appointment? Yeah, that's why you're here. Appointment? No appointment? No talking to Mr. Kincannon. Not entirely out of the question. Convince me. Inspector, you said? Well, maybe he'll appreciate your blunt charms. Maybe not. We'll see what he has to say. Mr. Kincannon, got an inspector here demanding to see you. Want me to call the guards?
No, thank you, Eileen. I've been expecting him. Send him up, please.
Timeline discrepancy detected nearby. This copy of TK contains 142 fewer pages than a standard copy. The missing pages were likely removed to create sufficient space for the hidden listening device inside. Transmission receiver location unclear. Inspector, please consider speaking into the device in order to trace the transmission and reveal the receiver's location. Ominous threat transmitted. Transmission analysis complete. While the precise location of the receiver could not be pinpointed, it has been narrowed down to a smaller, approximate range. Analysis inconclusive. However, there is a minor accumulation of dust particles present on the book's uppermost surface. 98.3% of the dust particles are less than 500 micrometers in diameter. This unit is glad to have been of service. The area within a 0.5 meter radius of the book possesses a dust coating comprised of at least... That is highly likely.
What's that you found? No, wait, don't tell me. Let's save it for the big reveal once you've solved the case. Ah, Inspector. Eileen is my right-hand woman and the finest assistant to ever grace this office. She is also tremendously skilled in causing physical harm. I recommend you do not insult her with any further attempts at intimidation. Now then, here for my alibi, I assume. Another murder? Drunk Raptidons? Black Hole Birdie practicing his hacking in the middle of the street? Stop me if it's one of those, or I'll just keep guessing. Sounds as though you've already sorted it out yourself. Slug uniforms do seem to go missing from the hotel laundry with impressive regularity. Easy enough for someone to nick a few. Now ask yourself this. Why would anyone give thugs slug gear and send them after you? Right again, Inspector. But I can't fathom who would benefit from tarnishing my reputation like that. Can you? Oh, that's good. That's very good, Inspector. I like this. Dominant, aggressive, The man in charge. I don't want to accuse anyone without hard evidence, though it may be worth noting Ludovico has motivation in spades. So, as you've deduced, I did not send anyone from Slug after you, nor is it likely they assigned themselves that task. Still, I am sorry for the trouble, Inspector. With that settled, I assume you'll want to know where I was the night of Helen's murder. Let's see. That night, I was... torturing Elliot Nasser for information on missing cargo. That was a messy one. Didn't break until nearly noon the next day. Can you imagine? An excellent question. I had his body dropped off the edge of the land complex. I'm not sure what happened to it from there, scientifically speaking. Maybe it dissolved? You'd be a fool to believe me, regardless of what I told you. People lie, and It's as I said. You shouldn't. If it helps, however, you might consider pursuing not my means, but my... Why in the name of the architect would I kill Halcyon Helen? She was making me a fortune. I'm considering a line of commemorative merchandise. Still, that's nothing compared to what Helen would have made. I'd offer to assist you in your work, but I've a mystery of my own. You may very well want to. This particular trouble strikes me as not unrelated to your investigation. Items are disappearing from Slug's storage and processing warehouse. The thefts began a week before Helen's unfortunate death, and before you ask, I know the difference between cargo going missing and cargo going missing. This is the latter. I'm not sure. I'm only confident that the thefts began mere days before Helen's untimely demise is an extraordinary coincidence. I'm not a man who believes in happenstance, Inspector. I certainly wouldn't take that bet. Regardless, this will be fun. You out in the field, chasing down leads, me scheming in my office, preparing to unspeakably You do recall, Inspector, that I'm not to be trusted? But sir, you'll want to speak with Ella Tinsley, the warehouse foreman. I've cleared her as a suspect myself, but should she refuse... No, I'm joking. If she won't cooperate, tell me, and I will shoot her. And do feel free to search my office for clues while you're here. Don't hold back on my account. Was there some... Very well. A few. Helen was strangely curious about the private business operation. She said it was role research. But how much business know-how does one actor truly need for an action picture? I also arranged to have Helen supplied with mag picks, bypass shunts, and other hacking tools. Because she paid me to. Besides, Helen was enjoyable company. She was confident, resourceful, not unlike you, now that I consider it. That is the question, isn't it, Inspector? Tell me, do you really believe Helen's death was a mere crime of passion? A smart approach, Inspector. And yet, this murder is bigger than Miss Helen's personal life. Her actions in the time leading up to her death do not align with those of an actor on Erydanos. Stay sharp, Inspector, because whoever did kill Helen is not... I might. Your point, Understood. I hope you'll be very careful, Inspector. I'd very much like to see you still around for... One moment, if you please, Inspector. What or who? Was it now? Thank you for your... Now then, did you need anything? The original incident? Well, I made him an offer he should have refused. An excellent deduction, Inspector. Our combative relationship stems from paperwork, mundanely enough. Rizzo's contracted sublight to construct the Erydanos atmospheric complex. Lou's an administrator, for law's sake. I thought he would adore all the fine print Think of it this way. It was a test, and it was all perfectly legal, too, which irked Lou to no end. My power grab, as Lou called it, planted the seed of hatred. And Lou, obsessed with what should have been, alas, I can't. I am, first and foremost, the head of Slug. Slug's control of Eridanos is a crucial step in my long-term plans for Sublight. The board needs to see irrefutable proof we are a because one day soon, Sublight will obtain a seat on it. Meanwhile, our dear administrator is still laser-focused on old slights. He's grown increasingly desperate to catch Slug with our hand in the proverbial cookie jar. I wish I could wink, but it always looks like I have something.
Slug's got a cozy operation here, but I like the sound. Smells like home, you know?
Timeline discrepancy detected nearby. Transmission endpoint discovered. The receiver in this book matches the transmitter to the listening device. Due to the high level of foot traffic in this area, this based on the accumulated mix of sludge and detritus, the receiver
Invasive contaminants detected. Mega messy. Object is tuned to be feckless. Detected. Sanitation and
Hi there! Sorry, this area is off limits to port vision. Oh, wait half a second. You're the inspector. Sorry about that. I'll buzz you right in.
So this is where Slug houses all its completely legally obtained inventory, hmm?
You're the inspector, aren't you? Boss Kincannon said you'd be by about the cargo that's been going missing. Gosh, this is so neat. A real-life inspector. What's that like? Have you solved any Well, yeah, but... Right, so that's the weird part. There's no pattern. I ask you, who would steal a handful of Spacer's Choice Sabers so dull that... Ugh, who'd be desperate enough to want to steal a Spacer...
All our minds are strange, but eminently knowable if one...
Then there's the most recent theft. 5 boxes of pens and a couple of sodas. I can't decide which one's... Well, I'm no inspector. If there is one... Everyone here at Freight Storage and Processing, for a start. Thing is, the cargo is going... Best I can figure, It's probably getting lost in... As for who has access there, Benton Chan, he's the shipping yard manager. He told me... Could be. Those things'll break if you so much as look at them funny. That's Benton's area, but don't bother asking him. Last time I asked him to check the automechs, the whole head told me he couldn't help because... It won't bother him any if you have a look yourself, though. Hopefully, you're... Maybe they're keen on cashing out and want to go as painfully as possible. I don't know. Boss Kincannon's office is where he holds... Just about all negotiations happen in his office, too. Oh, before I forget, I figured you might want to access my terminal, so I had a spare keycard made. It's all yours. Oh no. I forgot to delete all of those incriminating messages I sent about which cargo to steal. Nah. I do have a list of cargo that's gone missing, though, if that helps.
You one of the new workers? A lost tourist? Wait, I don't care. Hey, if it meant I could ignore my work, I'd let you talk to me about spread. This terminal makes it pretty easy to match a ship's cargo to its manifest. If it ain't on the terminal, then it's someone else's problem. Nothing. I just hate working. Figured it wouldn't last. Anything else? What? Huh? You one of the new workers? Hey, figured it.
Timeline discrepancy detected nearby. Inspector, this loading automechanical's programming does not match factory default settings. The standard defensive protocol has been modified to include an additional trigger. For Type K-19 cargo transport automechanicals, defensive protocol is triggered by attempted interference with cargo, or its transportation, or attempted destruction of the unit. Once triggered, defensive protocol targets the perpetrator and applies lethal force until the target has been deceased for a minimum of 3 minutes. There is a directive in place to initiate defensive protocol should an unsanctioned data log installed in this automechanical be removed. Slug automechanical maintenance records indicate this particular unit is frequently reported as out of position or missing for periods of time.
Loading automechanical unit K-14 is fully operational at 99%. How can this Certainly. Access panel is now unlocked. Ejecting data log 17C. Alert. Failsafe protocol triggered. Kill mode initiated. Understood. This unit is programmed to facilitate user queries. Kill mode. The ejected data log contains instructions to move cargo shipment 6-8-7-5 outside the boundaries of the shipping yard. It also contains instructions to move random... Apologies. This unit... Kill mode.
Oh good, a fight. Never anger a man of the cloth.
Sam cleans it up. Reminder, lying in the dirt is unsanitary. Resuming. Passive mode.
Inspector, to what do I owe the pleasure? Ooh, I love this part. The big reveal. So tell me, what happened? What makes you say that? Hacking the Automex. So that was our skimmer's game. But why? Everything that was stolen has seemed... So, our culprit had something specific they wished to... I must say, Inspector, then that just leaves how the culprit knew where their true target would be, or indeed... Am I right to think what you found in my office earlier was the other half. Not quite, Inspector. That listening device belongs to me. I lent it to Halcyon Helen to assist her with role Unbelievable. I helped her. Gave her whatever she needed. I thought we were doing each other. This is a betrayal, Inspector. I do not take betrayal lightly. Helen should consider herself very lucky indeed that she is already among the dead. And that some other bastard... Halcyon Helen is already... If I'd known Helen was stealing from me, I may very well have killed her, or had her... Indeed. Incidentally, feel free to stop by after you clear me as a suspect. I won't even say, I told you so. Though I can't vouch for Eileen. I wish you luck with your investigation, though I doubt you'll need it. You'll find Helen's... Now, if you'll excuse me, I must find a way to excise my anger that minimally damages my business empire. I expect it will involve shoot...
Inspector? Closely, I trust. Tell me what you found. That doesn't surprise me. Sedrick practically stole his way to Erydanie. He'll do everything. With that in mind, do you think Sedrick... No motive. That's disappointing, because it's exactly the conclusion he'd... Unfortunately, even I don't have the authority to detain Sedrick. His line of work is dangerous. Well, I'm glad to hear that. I've already lost Dr. Blossom and Constable Keen.
Timeline discrepancy detected nearby. This is a bottle of unreleased Rizzo's product. Helen appears to have attempted to use it to spell something as she expired, but all she managed was a sticky bee. This hypothesis is plausible, but requires additional information.
Mr. Bertie Holcomb is indeed known to frequent places of leisure and hospitality, as rare as they are in Halcyon.
Correct. Bertie Black Hole Holcomb is a registered guest at the Grand Colonial Hotel. Accessing guest database B. The Grand Colonial Hotel is proud to serve the following VIPs. Bertie, Black Hole, Burbage 3001. This evidence has been recorded for later reference. Now
Inspector, not a moment too soon. I've just finished my autopsy report. Ruth Bellamy was killed by plasma damage to the upper vertebrae, the occipital bone, and the cerebellum. If it's any consolation, her death was instantaneous and painless. I've also discovered a poisonous compound in Miss Bellamy's stomach lining ingested during her last meal. Toxic, but not enough to kill her. Spencer Woolrich complained of a stomach ailment around the same time period. I assumed he was being, you know, Spencer. But now I'm not so sure. Oh, most certainly. Well, possibly they were trying to make her extremely uncomfortable, but I suppose killing her would also satisfy that criterion. The thought occurred to me. I tested this hypothesis by vacating the contents of my stomach and testing for the slightly elevated levels of mercury and an alarming amount of blue food coloring. But other than that, no. I'm certain it wasn't. Oh, how curious. I wonder if this has something to do with the autopsy process. She was Halcyon Helen up until... But as soon as I cut her open, I stopped thinking of her as Halcyon Helen. I had a feeling you'd under...
The Grand Colonial Front Desk. How may I be... I'd love to, Inspector, but I don't really have the authority. Moreover, the guests were promised exclusivity. If I... That's a good point. If they give me guff, I can just tell them that they're obstructing justice. That has a nice ring to it. Let me just set you up with VIP guest floor access. Done. You can now come and go as you please.